Hi everybody, I'm Kevin from the band Gates, and I'm going to show you how to play my guitar solo from our song Shiver, off of our record Parallel Lives. The reason I chose Shiver is because I get asked a lot what synthesizer I used on this part of the song, and it is in fact a guitar. So I thought I would run through how I made this sound. It's not too hard to achieve, but you do have to have one very important pedal, and that pedal is the Boss PS5 Super Shifter pedal. I think that you can get this sound with a Digitech Whammy or a similar pedal that allows you to shift octaves and adjust the portamento or the speed on the tracking. That is how I achieved the effect on the PS5 in particular. I'm using the tremolo arm setting on the pedal. I'm setting the pitch to an octave up, and I have the speed at about 75% on the knob, just to give it a little bit of portamento, and that kind of creates a slightly more interesting sound to it. And I think it kind of gives it a sound as if I'm using a pitch wheel on a synthesizer, which is why I think a lot of people mistake it for that. For this particular tone, I have a T-Rex Møller, which I used on the record for this sound. It has a mix knob, gain, and a clean boost, but it's also based on a tube screamer. So it's a similar kind of mid-rangey gain pedal. If you have anything of the sort, it'll probably do. I am also using the Boss DSD-2 delay, which, again, I'm 90% sure I used it on the record. I wanted something clean and crisp that could handle having a decent amount of feedback, but not get too muddy sounding. And then for the video, I'm also using the RV5 Boss reverb pedal just to give it some stereo image. I used a 1965 Fender Bassman head. I play it on the normal channel. It's the AB circuit if anyone is really interested, and I love the amp. It's amazing, and I use it on, I would say, 90% of my tones, along with this Gibson double cutaway. The only thing not stock on this tonally would be the Seymour Duncan P90 stacked pickups. For the demonstration today, I'm using Universal Audio plugins. I'm using the SVT Classic Head emulator and the Neve 1073 for some EQ, and I tried to tone match the best I could to the record. So the tuning for this song is drop C sharp standard. All of our songs are played down a half step, and I'll alternate between usually like a drop tuning or a dadgad type of a tuning or just standard. So those are pretty much the three I use. The other guitar players in our band tend to use some other tunings, but I kind of stick to the basic stuff. Most of this solo is based off of the D major shape, so we're playing all the way up here on the 14th fret, and most of the riff is alternating between the same kind of shape up here and then down an octave on the 7th fret of the guitar. So I'll walk through how to play it slowly first. Here we go. So that's the first half of the solo right there. I'll play it one more time so you can see. And then quickly I slide down to the 7th fret and play the second half of the phrase, which is. One more time so you can see that. So the main elements of the sound we can go through now. The first is going to be the 8th note delay. I have a decent amount of feedback on it, and the effect level's up at about 75%. Unlike some of the newer delay pedals, the effect level knob on this delay is not a mix knob, so it is just the level of the delay itself. I also have the gain and the boost. It's not a ton of gain, but it's enough, and the boost always pushes my amp, and a basement breaks up really easily if you've ever had one or played out of one. So it doesn't take a ton to get it nice and dirty, and I like the amp breakup a lot. So if you play the riff with these two effects on now, it sounds something like this. So now to add the Boss Super Shifter in there, I press the pedal down on quarter notes, and I hold it down a little bit longer than I release it. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's not being pressed at exactly even intervals when it comes to it being pressed down versus it being released. It's being held down a little longer than it's being released. It bends down in pitch faster than it bends it back up. So I compensate for that a little bit by pressing the pedal at different intervals. Anyway, this is how it sounds incorporating the pedal. So as you notice, and I'll turn the delay off here so you can hear it, it pitches it an octave up every time I hold it down, and it releases it again when I let go. So that's what creates that pumping sound during the riff. And if you notice, you can get pretty expressive with it. It's a great setting that can be used for a lot of really cool effects. This pedal also has kind of a classic harmonizing mode, and it has a really cool detune mode, but I really like this tremolo arm setting for stuff like this. But that's about all. If you like what you hear, you can visit gatesnj.com and check out the rest of our songs. Everything's available on Spotify, Apple Music. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you learned something, and yeah, hope you have fun playing the riff. Cheers.